Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on September 18th, 2023 at approximately 4:17 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I personally guide my own life by. So this is not a question of here's some tools that may work. This is an issue of here are some ideas that I'm personally putting to use and thousands of others have utilized to varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. That came out well. Now, before we go into anything, we start off here with Donna coming in with the gold. And Crystal, oh, yes, you did. You made it in with the silver. Welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. And there's Football Cat coming in with the bronze, and Steve Knox in right away with honorable mention. Now, remember, in the way that the educational world is built right now, everybody that shows up gets a gold star or gets a trophy or what have you. Sorry, it doesn't work like that in real life. So we only have one gold going out. And Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now I decided we were going to look, because of the fact this is Monday, we're looking at the aliens, at UFOs, at that sort of thing. And by the way, this does not change the fact, and this is why I've got this funny little document up here. The fact that I've decided on Mondays to cover that does not change the fact that I am still on the first Friday of every month. I still am going on Spaced Out Radio from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. Now, of course, this means in this case, I've got to look at calendar and that sort of thing. So we are looking at 2 weeks from now. Not this Friday, not next Friday, but the one after that. So on the 6th, I will be going live on Spaced Out Radio again. Unless, of course, something happens and he goes, nope, we're not doing that anymore. However, that being said, yes, I get coffee imported. I am happy to say two major factors have occurred. One is, as far as the cold goes, first one in 25 years. Apparently, they're supposed to last about a week. I figured 2 days I was done. I was bored with it. I have, on the other hand, created other complications, but you'll notice, I don't like this, which means I got a lot of work to do. But this is all the files that were in the filing cabinet. I've got to get them sorted out. Hey, what do we got here? This door doesn't need to be open. It may not be a bad idea to do that. Simply because of the fact I've got a box down here of Christmas wrap used for Christmas cards and what have you, but your Christmas cards, Christmas gifts. Like I said, I'm getting started early on it. What are we doing here? Oh, Joe, that is not fun. Emotional overload is a royal pain. And even I can relate to that little bit of a mess. And look at this. We're 5 people in and we've got 8 in the room. Now, again, guys, for those of you that haven't been here before, absolutely, if you like the stream, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, share the daylights out of it, and let's start turning this world around instead of letting it continue down the path it's been. Now, I decided on looking at a topic I keep getting asked about, or I keep hearing about people going, oh, we're dooming, there's an alien invasion going on. There's a false flag event happening. So I figured, let's take a look at the illogic behind this claim. These people, okay, we look at ancient races, we're talking about We're talking about people that have been here, that they evolved on Earth. Okay, yeah, they're not on the surface at this point, at least not many of them. But let's look at the idea of off-world invasion. First and foremost, the movies that are out are fantastic. I do like watching the science fiction movies that come out and say, oh, we're being invaded, and mankind joins together and defeats the alien invasion or the alien invaders. This is a great idea until you start looking at the logic behind it. As a Hollywood movie goes, I will not fault them. I mean, yeah, I've seen some where the plots have been, shall we say, a little sketchy, but we are talking about entertainment here. We're not talking about planetary invasion. Now, if you think about it, if you're trying to invade, when you're looking at movies, and people talking about invading, you guys, are talking about utilizing human guidelines, human mentality, human understanding to determine what an invasion is going to look like. Okay. People don't look at a forest and go, oh, we're going to clear cut the tree. We're going to clear cut the forest because we're going to worry about the individual trees. People don't do that. Okay. When you go to clear cut a forest, you go, I'm starting here and I'm wiping everything out. Every tree that fits a certain level, I'm taking out. Okay. And what's left over, we're just going to burn it flat. Well, an alien invasion kind of looks the same way, depending on their purpose. Now, if we take a look at, they desire the planet, not the people. They desire the planet. Okay, well, if you're invading to take a planet out, number one, and I did have a very interesting conversation one day with a chap, and he laid it out this way. Now, humans know that many humans, especially in this field, in the field of ufology and of science fiction for that matter, know, or for that matter, science fact, you know that an EMP pulse is going to damage electronics. Okay, but according to Terran understanding, it's going to affect connected operating electronics. Okay, if an off-world race capable of traveling millions of light years. Okay, Nathan, how we doing? Glad we could join you. Glad we could join you. That came out well. Glad you could join us. And with Nathan coming through the door, so how's work going there, Nathan? Where are we here? Nathan. This is the link to Nathan's live show. Okay, this is his live stream that takes place on Saturday at 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific. So do drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. It's by this cooperative interaction that we are going to change this world. Well, never mind going to. We are already doing it. Okay, well, that might be happening too, but that's another issue. With the issue of an off-world invasion, they are going to start with a real simple issue. From about the orbit of Mars, they will hit Earth with a broadband. Black Dragon, how you doing? Glad you could join us. With a broadband subquantum EMP pulse that not only will destroy the electronics that are already attached and operational, it will destroy the component parts. It's literally designed to modify the molecular alignment of electrically carry. Okay, that's poor English. Of equipment capable of carrying an electric charge. It will fundamentally alter the subquantum configuration. Thereby, all of the cables, all the circuit boards, all of the little batteries that you've got built and stockpiled, and Lord knows, Companies have thousands of these things put in backlog. Okay, but it's also going to destroy the wiring, which means everything that is in existence right now in our last 100 years is almost completely digitized. I'm sure the paperwork sits around somewhere, but how many people know how to actually go through a physical dictionary now and find even a word? Never mind understand a schematic by looking at a two-dimensional picture. There aren't that many comparatively left. There's lots that know how to do it on electronic. But with electronics, you're allowed to put overlays. I'm no computer tech. And this is exactly what ticked me off with the governmental company that turned around and goes, oh, you wanted computer knowledge, but because you don't have any, we can't help you. Or more to the point, we won't. Absolutely, Nathan. That would be really appreciated. From my standpoint, just to put that in perspective, in the early afternoon, because on most of the first thing in the morning, okay, let's try that again. Maybe I should slow my brain down. What do you think? I don't think that's going to happen, but Monday and Wednesday, my mornings are right off. I'm in the middle of heavy duty editing, transcribing, that side of it. That Monday and Wednesday mornings are busy all the way until 11 o'clock Pacific. Okay, so needless to say, from that standpoint, a little bit heads up and we will absolutely do it. Yeah, you're talking about getting on something like this and actually talking, oh my gosh, voice to voice on a phone. Absolutely not a problem with it. I'm still very much a dinosaur. Now, when these guys set off an EMP pulse, okay, it wipes out everything. So you don't even have the backup material. Your wires are all shot. And of course, because of the fact all that knowledge is buried somewhere, how many miners even know how to smelt metal at this point without a computer? What do we got here? Joe's going, I have a dentist appointment on October 7th at 3 p.m. Eastern that I'm dreading. It's probably part of it. I don't even go to a dentist, and Lord knows I should. But since I suffer from PTSD triggered by it, that gets to be a bit of a problem. And that is exactly what I'm referring to, Nathan. Nathan's just going, we'll get sent back to the Stone Age. Literally. So you take that into consideration. Now, if an off-world race wants to take the planet, that's all they have to do. Okay, yeah, you'll still have at this moment 8 billion people. Problem: 8 billion people with no idea how to make food, how to keep food going, how to store food, how to heal the wounded. And of course, now we got the bigger problem. You got billions of people starving to death. Okay, if you've watched, I forget what the name of the show was. There was a documentary on a while ago, a series that showed how fast nature reclaims the planet once people are gone. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all there, Nathan. See, I don't. I am completely hooked on that, except my closest friend and his mom and dad have already, they're hunters, fishers. They grew up without any of the amenities. As a matter of fact, where they grew up, my close friend there didn't even have electricity for much of his childhood. Yeah, I'm not entirely certain, but it does seem to be, that rings a bell. Raymond, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So, if you're looking at a race that just wants the planet, okay, now bear in mind, there's a lot of side effects there, but I'm just looking at the idea of taking the planet back. Now, what happens if they want the people? Okay. Did you realize, and no, I'm not going to give you the specs, so don't bother asking. Some of you will know them already. There are in existence on Earth right now, developed by humans, sonic weapons that can kill like that. Okay, a mild setting, you knock everybody out. Okay, there are certain decibel levels that literally will knock people unconscious. Now, if humans already have it at low levels, i.e., a small handheld model, what's stopping a starship from having the same repulsor capacity, able to generate a sonic wave of sufficient low enough decibel level to knock every human on the planet out? Okay, or to just flood the entire atmosphere. We do it with all sorts of things, chemicals and what have you, cloud seeding, all of that. It's done by humans. Now, a minor extrapolation, we'll call it extrapolation because you haven't necessarily looked into it. Okay, I call it a little bit of minor tweaking of what they already have. All they got to do is make a quick flyby in upper atmosphere and bombard the planet, okay, with particulates that simply knock you out. Okay, now you're asleep. They move in, they load you all on transport vehicles, and they're gone. Human from race, the fight's over. You wake up in a cage or on a table or wherever they decide to put you. This is how fast an alien invasion takes place. Before man even knows it's under attack, it's already over. This is what we have to look at. Yeah, well, Stephen King, he's got a fantastic mind. I personally do not read Stephen King stuff. Mind you, in all fairness, I don't mind it. I just don't read anybody's stuff to speak of. Although that's about to change. Okay, well, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But when we look at the idea of an alien invasion, and you come back, it's going to be broadcast more and more often. This whole thing of, there was an alien invasion in Timbuk, down in southern Bolivia, where you got no you've got no communication, and all you've got is hearsay from the media. Okay, now it's just a simple question. Well, I call it simple, of looking at and going, where's the logic? Okay, aliens don't exactly have to sneak in undercover. If another country wants to sneak into the States or into Canada, they've got to do it piece at a time. Joe, you are absolutely correct. I can't begin to give you the numbers. Okay, but yes, I've dealt with a lot of people that suffer PTSD. My first PTSD case, I was only 11 years old, approximately. Okay, and I was walking through the Kennex, which is it's a community grocery store on an airbase. And somebody dropped a bottle of pickles on the far side of the shelf. And this guy that was one of this airman was walking down the aisle when the pickle bun jar hit the floor. He tried diving underneath a mounted shelving unit, screaming at the top of his lungs. Now, fortunately, I already knew what I was dealing with. Of course, I was only a kid, but instead of running away like most people did, I went over to him, didn't lay a hand on him, and I just sat there and talked to him until he started to calm down. There were a couple of clerks that came around the end of the shelving unit, around at the end of the aisle. I waved them off, told them I knew I was dealing with it. And the guy was calming down, so they left me to it. I'm telling you, the people that talk about PTSD, and that's a whole different ballgame than anxiety. And boy, is it ever going to go a different direction if I go there. But you got to remember, humans think in terms of invasion as in under the wire, come in at night, come in when it's really shadowy. Now, shh, don't make any noise in case the people around hear. Aliens walk in, they go, we're here, we don't want you alive, so now you're dead. Okay. It's a simple issue on that end. Okay, that's what we gotta do next week. I was looking at, I'm striving to get ahead of myself, so bear with that. But what do we got here? Oh, okay. Nathan's just going, a YouTuber, Elizabeth April, was just on live covering fake alien news, alien invasion and Blue Beam News. When I was in, and he continues on with, when I was in the Army, I was given classes on it. Back then, it was known as battle fatigue. Before, it was better understood as shell shock before that. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different names. And I love the way William Shakespeare put it, where he goes, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to call this a peanut butter and jam sandwich, go right ahead. It's still going to operate the same way. It doesn't matter. But aliens don't invade via human limits. First and foremost, we got to realize there is no religious ceremony or emotional ceremony or social ceremony that an invading alien force will ever even think of as a reason not to attack. Okay, it's just not one of these things that works. And what we have to realize is this idea of people talking about alien invasions. It's great. And it makes for a fantastic storyline. As a matter of fact, when you think about it, and again, this ties right back into this whole idea. Okay, where I'm looking at the Yldrbac Chronicles, book 8 and 9. Now, right now, so those are a few years down the road. Okay, but give you an update on that in about 5 seconds. But that involves the setting up and fall of mankind. Now, do understand, I am not saying that mankind is going to fail. I will tell you this, if we don't pull our heads out of the sand and start working together, we're absolutely going to have some problems. Okay, they're already surfacing. And it's not a question of small little details. Oh, it's just the poor people that are suffering. I'm telling you, in the middle of a depression, when all of a sudden there's food shortages and what have you, the people that are suffering the most are not the ones living on the street or the ones that are fighting tooth and nail to make ends meet day by day. The ones that are going to feel it the worst are the ones of you that think you have money. And yeah, I call it think you have, because if you're used to everything being there all the time, it absolutely creates a problem. When you get cut off, now you got to figure out how to do what the poor people are already doing. Where it comes to an alien invasion, you can bet your bottom dollar they're not going to care whether you own the penthouse suite or whether you live on the 14th floor and you're paying $3,000 a month for a box to live in. Okay, they're not going to worry about that. They'll flatten the whole building if they don't want the building there. And whoever's on the bottom floor, well, they get to get buried better. The ones on the top floor, I'm telling you, you drop from 150 feet, you're not having a fun day. Well, the ride down might be fun. I remember there was a story once of a guy that fell off the 14th floor. And as he's going by the 5th floor, somebody yells out, "How's it going?" He yells back, "So far, so good." I'm telling you, the fall does not kill people. It's that sudden stop at the bottom that creates the problem. But we have another thing to consider here. In an alien invasion, just like in digital currency is a cute thing. Okay, but I mean, let's be realistic. In many of the worlds that have physical money, They don't have anything functional backing it anyway. So what difference does it make to you whether it is physical paperwork or digital? Aside from the fact that obviously, and we're already at this stage. Where is it? Over here. People worry about digital currency. Oh, we don't have cash. They're taking our cash away. This is going to be a terrible thing. You think it's a terrible thing when they take your cash away. Wait till they take everything else. In an alien invasion, they won't even leave you that. But let's try this. Okay, we have here, and yes, I got warned about that, so I'm paying attention. We got here we've got a bank card. Now, right there's your cash. You're already utilizing digital money. EMP, the aliens invade, and this goes out the window. This piece of plastic becomes a great thing for opening a lock if you know how. Okay, or for scraping ice, and that one I've used these for. Okay, but here's a neat little thing, and it was set up beautifully. And this is one of the things I've been talking about. Okay, this particular type of card is great. If you've got the money listed in the bank, this one works beautifully. Okay, but when you run out of this, then you turn to these ones. Okay, you turn to this sort of thing. Now you've got a credit card that lets you spend money you don't even have. And you're worried about digital money? You're worried about an alien invasion? There does seem to be a little bit of a conflict of interest here. Okay, from my standpoint, these cards both have one thing in common. They've got a nice solid plastic. They've got a good solid edge. In the middle of the winter, now remember, I live up in Canada. Okay, you guys way down in southern Texas, I'm hoping you don't go through this, at least not except possibly in the mountains if you got them that high. Okay, where it gets cold enough you get ice on your window. These work great for scraping ice off. And they don't even put you in debt when you use them for that. But when you look at the idea of an alien invasion, do you really think they're going to worry about whether or not you voted for the current president before they start locking you up? By the way, they're also not going to do that funny thing of, I'm safe because I'm basically a nobody. They're going to leave me alone because I've got no power, right? That ain't the way it works. Okay, because logic dictates in a very simple fashion. If you're looking at taking a country, okay, if you can't get to the so-called elites because they got more weapons, and you're trying to cut down on your conflict, okay, they're not going to worry about that. They'll go, okay, they're really well protected, so we take out all the minions. We take out all the people living on the street. Well, guess what? Problem of the homeless is over. They aren't there anymore. But now the people that are defending the wealthy aren't there to do it. And most of the wealthy don't have a clue. The guys walking around with guns and what have you, those are bodyguards. Those are not the wealthy. And I'm telling you, in the middle of an invasion, those bodyguards are not going to sit there and go, oh, I got to protect my meal ticket. They're going, I got to protect my life. I watched it in a number of civilizations, and you get to do with that what you will. Okay, when the Teclac first looked at coming to Earth, they were coming to strip mine it. They were going to take everything off it. They just found out that, hey, humans taste good, so we're taking them too. Now, that led to them having a civil war. Okay, meaning, even in the advanced races, they still have dissidents, people that do not agree with government tactic. Okay, now that's going to happen in an alien invasion. It's going to happen in the middle of a military. Now, for those of you that have been to war, okay, and I'm talking people my age that have gone to things like the Gulf War or any of the current ones. I don't follow the wars. Okay. To me, they're annoying, they're disappointing, but I don't go to war for a lot of reasons. Okay. Number one, something about epileptics and automatic weapons. They just don't like it. On the other hand, demolition experts and paranoid schizophrenia seem to go fine. They're just unable, and they're just an excellent thing. I don't know. Maybe it's a question of kill ratio. But when you look at the off-worlders coming in, they're not going to be doing a census to say, hey, are you of age? Oh, I'm sorry, you're a senior citizen. We're going to leave you alone. They won't do that. Okay. The fact you're on a walker just makes you an easier target. Okay. And I will tell you this. In the middle of an invasion, humans are not going to be helping the person beside them. Now, I used to believe the same thing. I did when I was younger. I'd watch the Hollywood movies going, oh, this is an authentic movie based on the real events. And I'm going to be very specific on this one. This is based on the real events that happened on the beach of Normandy. Okay, there used to be a movie out, or a series out called The World at War. Now, I happened to talk to a gentleman. He's deceased now, but he was on the beach of Normandy. And I asked him about it, and he says no. He says it bothered. He used to say it bothered him a lot. He'd watch these movies of the invasion of the landing on Normandy Beach take place, and they'd show the people run back to grab their friends in the middle of a firefight and drag them to safety. He said never did that happen that he ever saw. What he'd watch happen was you get onto the beach and you would run like heck. Okay, yes, you'd fire into the ground, into the air in front of you, hoping you hit something, or at the very least to keep their head down. But your friends were getting dropped beside you. And he said you'd run, you'd fight until the beach was taken. Once the beach was taken, then they'd go back and hope they found their friends alive. Very seldom was this the case. Many of them died on the beach and then drowned. They didn't die from bullet wounds. They died because they drowned. Okay, because they just couldn't get out of the water. War is not a fun thing. And these geniuses, they're saying, hey, there's going to be an invasion. It is telling you, they're doing it, they're playing with your emotions. Now, you can call it realistic, they're just bracing for the worst. You want to brace for the worst? How about if we go with, well, pick a city, fill in the name. There's a city. It's no longer there. Okay, there's no fighting on the outskirts. The city's just gone. Shadow, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And with Shadow in the house, we do this. We go here and we grab the stream into Shadow's live stream. And we paste that there and we go, there it is. When you get the opportunity, drop in and give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up, come right out and let him know. And then subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. The support, I'm telling you, the support that I'm getting in here lately, well, it's always been here. I just was, shall we say, a little too blind to see it. Okay. So what's happening, with Shadow, he's got some great ideas. Oh, by the way, Shadow, something dawned on me just yesterday. I did get my game up and running. Okay. For the first time since 2018, I've actually started running a game. Okay, but while I was getting set up to run a game, all of a sudden I got informed of an interesting addendum to Races of the World, and we have made phenomenal headway today. What was it now? I'm not going to try. I've got way too many books. I have files open right now. But like I said, I've got to get one race a day done to get this done and to get the book out by the middle of November. We got, I think, eight of the races done. Emmy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So I'm looking at this whole thing of the alien invasion and go, yes, we can fill you full of fear. We can talk about all the things that are going wrong. We're having food shortages. We're having oil shortages. The land is running out. Or if you listen to one real brilliant individual, we are now apparently suffering from a gravity shortage. Somehow gravity is being depleted. I don't know, maybe we're using it by walking around too much. That's it, guys. Start flying. Gravity, you're wearing the gravity out. You got to start flying without it. But yeah, I think I am going to do that. Yes, I do realize I didn't finish that thought. Yeah, I've got a box down here that will work quite nicely. But I can't exactly leave this stuff here on my bed if I'm going to bed tonight. But I also have to be careful because the last time I tried this, it created a problem. But I am good. These are all the files that have to go back in the bin. So, I'm putting them down here. Yes, I'm just moving them out of the way. I kind of have to. Because if I don't move them out of the way, I'm going to have a very big problem going to bed. I don't know about you, but I have a big issue with trying to sleep on top of stacks of paperwork. And there is no way I'm going through this much before. There's no way I'm going through this much paperwork before I get done tonight. The nice part about it is most of the paperwork that I've been working with is either in the filing drawers where it belongs or not. Now, do understand something very important. In amongst this paperwork here is about that much information on the different races that I've got. Okay. So, yes, we're going into overdrive on that one as well. And it looks like somebody wandered in here. Nope. I did not see you come in, Steve. So I'm seeing that Steve is in here. I do not see where you came in, mind you. That being said, welcome aboard. This is why I watch the chat room, because it enables me to see other things that are happening. Now, one of the things that you got to remember here, when we start looking at an invasion works. There's an old saying that goes, divide and conquer. Now, this is brilliant. We talk about human unity. Okay. And yet, the very religious and spiritual leaders that we have are constantly finding brand new ways of making things worse. Okay. There are little cliques of people that are making things worse by finding new and exciting ways to create separations. Now, let me put it to you this way. An alien force comes onto the planet and goes, we're going to attack them. But they've got 8 billion people. Yep. And 3 of them won't get along, so we don't really have a force to deal with. I get a kick out of it. I'm Canadian. Okay, there's no doubt there. And I've already told my other half, nothing against anybody in particular, but when we first got together, I told her flat out, I'm not moving. If we're going to make this work, it's going to be done up here in Canada. Now, she's down in the States. And the reality of it is this. I've always held, and I get Canadians mad at me, so if they want to be mad at me, I can live with it. They're still human. But I will stand by this. A country is supposed to be one set of rules for one people. Okay. Now take a look at the States. Take a look at England. Take a look at Ireland. Take a look at any of them. Up here, I've always been a firm believer. Canada, by its very nature, is not what I see as a country. It is not unified. Yes, we will absolutely fight to defend our neighbors. But I usually joke about it and go, yep, they'll jump in to fight the neighbor and to fight on the neighbor's property, so we don't have to clean up the mess on our own property when it's all said and done. Now with that same thought in mind, a number of years ago, we got hit with a tornado here in town. Now, I don't know if it got classified as a tornado. I just got my attention. It caught my attention when a garbage can went by the window at work. I was on the second floor. Okay, that's what caught my attention. And we had 100-year-old trees being snapped off at the base like twigs. To me, this says tornado. I don't know what the weather report said. But in the middle of this storm hitting, I took one look out the window and told my boss, I said, I'm off shift until further notice. And I kid you not, I walked off the job and out into the middle of this windstorm while everybody else was going for cover. I went out to give them a hand. Not necessarily a smart move, but boy, was it a rush. Of course, we got to understand at 6 years old, I was picked up by a tornado. 5 or 6. I was walking kindergarten to my kindergarten class when the tornado hit. That was fun. Bit windy, mussed up my hair, but it was a riot. But when you start looking at alien invasions, understand they are not going to be doing it by the proverbial book. They're going to be taking a look at it going, we want the war over. We're not here to have a war. We're not here to sit down and talk about things that may work. We're here to finish the job. Okay, it's just that simple. And see, like I said, all of this stuff has to be gone through. It's all got to be sorted out. But I certainly don't need it all on my bed. It was just easier. But the reason I did that, by the way, remember how I keep telling you procrastination will not do a thing for you except postpone things? Okay, when we look at alien invasion, okay, take a look at what they're actually aiming for. Now, you're not going to know because you're not going to be able to talk to them in all likelihood and go, what do you want? Can we help? I like what was said earlier about Nathan's show. I will not comply. Okay. And I'm bad for that. I never comply to my boss's directions. Heck, the job that I held for 23 years, when I was told the rules, I looked at him and went, no. I didn't get fired. I didn't get let go. I worked for him for 13 years after he bought the company. But when you think about it and we start talking about off-world invasion. Now, I am not talking about a different country. I'm not talking about whether India or China is getting ready to invade. I'm talking about an off-world country, an off-world race coming in and going, we're invading the planet. Do you really think they're going to worry about attacking the Congo first? Let's take the little places and take them out of the equation. Oh, no. If they're going to invade, you're not going to... And the first thing that's going to go is your electronics. Second thing that's going to go is your ability to argue the point whether we are alone or not. Because you're going to have all these huge, and I mean miles long, battle platforms in the air. Okay. And, and I don't know if this is state of the art. Don't care if it's state of the art. The F-18 used to be state of the art. Okay. The F-18 is a beautiful plane. It really is. And the humans have done a great job in building it. But I'm telling you, it's got nothing over the speed of a starship. Okay. Now, there's a couple of other things that we can look at here. If they're looking at taking the planet in one piece, probably, but that's okay. they'll take the rest of your food too. Then, Black Dragon. Oh, you'll be happy to know I had a phenomenal breakfast the other day, Black Dragon. Went out, bought myself a pound of bacon, cooked it up, and that in and of itself, that was breakfast. And of course, I had to do the intelligent thing, and I had to have dessert afterwards. So, because I wanted to make sure I ate healthy. So I had a pound of bacon for breakfast. Then I had a bowl of ice cream with blueberries and butterscotch sauce for dessert. This was breakfast, my first meal of the day. There is a place for, my idea is simple. Breakfast is literally breaking fast. Now, the fact of the matter is, here's another scenario for a really silly idea where it comes to an alien invasion. Okay, those of you that know anything about physics or about, what would it be? About atmospheric maneuvering and that sort of thing will understand this. You take a high enough speed vehicle. Now, a plane goes through the atmosphere really fast. It creates a sonic boom. Okay, you take a starship whipping through the upper atmosphere at the speed of light. Okay, not only is it going to create a boom, it's going to tear the atmosphere right off the planet. Guess what? Your war just ended. Actually, in all fairness, Black Dragon, I wasn't actually intending on teasing you so much as saying bacon is absolutely a breakfast meal. Okay, now I've been known to eat a pound of bacon, and get this. It's a little bit of a sidetrack, but get this. I still will eat like that, and I'm dropping weight. So people that tell you that bacon is bad for you, I'm no nutritionist. That amount of bacon, not a brilliant idea. It hasn't killed me permanently yet. I'm not going to worry about it. And by the way, yes, there are people that come from up here that look like bacon. Well, more to the point, they look like Sovine. Yeah, isn't that supposed to be a case of, okay, guys, everybody into the escape pods, bacon and eggs first, or steak and bacon first. Make sure the bacon gets onto the escape pod, because we're going to have a problem. You wipe out all the humans, all of a sudden there's lots of bacon running around. We can come back for it later. But, you've got all kinds of ways of having an alien invasion. And none of them are going to be done under the auspices of, oh, let's come down and we'll infiltrate the government and we will take up high positions of authority in businesses or in countries. The off-worlders don't think like that. They go, okay, the people in power are now deceased. Oh, they're seated in, for instance, they're seated in Washington, D.C. They're seated in Ottawa, Ontario. They're seated in London, England. They're seated in the Vatican. Well, there's a lot of innocent people there, and if we eliminate the whole city, we're bound to get the people in charge. The reality of it is, when you look at alien invasion, you gotta stop thinking like a human, because it's not going to work that well. Matter of fact, it might be an idea to stop thinking like a human anyway. But that's just my outlook on it. As you can tell, I get an idea in my head, and I run into a little bit of a problem trying to let go of it. Primarily because I no longer have the luxury. I was turned down the assistance I asked for, went the way of the Yldrbac. On the plus side, since I brought you up to speed on the fact that I got shafted there, I contacted my little brother about the mess I'm in. He'll be in touch with me sometime this week, and we're going to take a look at it. Oh, that's no problem. Shadow, if they are looking for a compliant race of semi slaves who are happy to work their alien overlords with for some off-world concern, if they come that way, that's no problem, because they will show up and they won't bother coming with guns. Picture, if you will, picture the Strazazians. Okay. And just for those of you that are watching this video, okay, let's put this in perspective. Okay. Now, this chap here holding the sword, this guy's human. Now, this guy here, this is literally the size of an actual Strazazian. This thing I'm pointing out, that's the size of his mace. These guys will show up prepared for hand-to-hand battle, but understand their size. They'll show up in full armor. Okay, now, the thing you got to remember, they're looking for compliance. So they're trying to avoid bloodshed. They will show up with vastly superior weaponry, or, vastly larger weaponry. Okay, just huge weapons, and they grow their own armor. They literally grow their own armor. So they'll just show up and go, okay, here we are. We're an extra 2 feet on top of you. And depending on the race, what they will do is a show of force. As in, okay, I want your attention. Now, there's an unoccupied building. Okay, and they'll double check, make sure it's empty, get everybody out of it, and then vaporize the building. As in, they will literally atomize a concrete or a steel structure right in front of you. Okay, and go, now, if you're willing to work for us, we'll leave you in your place. You can keep your business. We want this. And before anybody goes there, no, the off-worlders did not come to Earth looking for gold. Humans put a staggering amount of value on gold. Okay, that's the reality. We take a look at this, and let's start with this idea. Gold is not the best energy conductor in existence. It's just one of the best ones that humans know. Now, Shadow's going, I know they can defeat us, but if they want us as happily subjugated and willing participants, wouldn't they come at us covertly at first? What if they need us to help repopulate their own species? If they need us to repopulate their own species, first of all, they're wiping their species out. Okay, because you got to understand, and there is a neat little rumor that the Zeta Reticulan. Okay, and yes, I am starting to break that race down, by the way. You got your Zeta Reticulans, your Zeta Reticulan D, your Beta Reticulan, and your Reta Reticulans. Okay, and yes, I will be adding to that information as I go along. But, if they want willing participants, they're still going to show up to start with. Okay, it's human thinking that says, from what I've gathered anyway, that says, let's put out a friendly handshake and politely tell them we're taking over. Okay, they want happily compliant subjects. What you do, according to them, is come in and go, we're taking over. Now that we've taken over, let's start giving you control of your place. Let's start giving you freedoms. Because you're helping, we're going to reward you by giving you places, by giving you the major chunks of your cities back. But now you know wholeheartedly, we didn't take any time to take the world from you. We got no qualms about taking it back. So, out of our magnanimous heart, we're letting you run your own world, and all you're doing is paying tithe. Very much like the monarchs did. But they take the place first. Well, I won't argue about that. I've spoken with a lot of them myself. Okay. Shadow's just saying he spoke to many who think their reproductive experiments are for that purpose. And I won't argue what they think they're for. I will tell you, many of the people that you're talking to, think they are for repopulating the population. They are being used for something to that effect. They're being used for the hybridization program on the whole. Okay, because you got to remember, let's take any race, fill in the blank, and we're going to use the reproductive system of a human to create another purebred of this race. Cannot happen. The very act of gestation inside by utilizing part of the human genome will not delete, that's definitely the wrong word, but will limit the effectiveness. It will dilute, that's the word I was looking for. It will dilute the actual species. Okay, so no, again, we're talking about the logic side of it. I'm not debating what these people believe. Okay, I'm not one to be able to say, hey, you're absolutely wrong. But I will tell you the logic doesn't add up. Now, I was lucky. I was actually way back when I was in grade 8. They threw me out of chemistry and out of biology because of medical complications. And of course, then they turned around and diagnosed me mentally retarded. And then, of all the brilliant things, they put me into a course in theoretical genetics. Brilliant idea. Now, I have no doubt that many people think that they are being used to help repopulate another planet. Now, it is possible, and this would not be a shock, to find out that some of these people are being used to produce humans to create a farm community elsewhere of humans. Humans are very easy to medically manipulate and repair. So yeah, if they're trying to build a supply source, okay, and I will go so far as to say maybe they're being used to populate an area so that they now have human farms. And I don't mean human run. I mean where they raise humans so they can butcher the humans like we do cattle and sheep. Okay, this would make sense. But it's not for repopulating their world unless by extrapolation. We give our poor communities, we give these people a human ranch. Now you've got cattle, as it were, that will not only work to feed themselves, but you can get them to work and feed you as well. And then when you're hungry, go out and pull one out of the herd. Okay, this is a normal off-world thought process regarding kidnapping humans for reproductive purposes. Now, yes, I will tell you, this is going to go down a bit of a, shall we say, twisted path. There are certainly those that will pick up humans to literally, they'll call it study the way humans procreate. Okay, there's another word for it. Humans do it a lot, where they actually will watch movies watching humans procreate. So, there's nothing saying that off-worlders won't do the same sort of thing. Now, as we can see, I managed to make a lot of headway in clearing the stuff off my bed. Yes, it's my office. But the fact of the matter is, once my son moved in, I had an option. Either move my office into my bed, into my bedroom, or end up having a major problem trying to put it out front. But when we're looking, when we're looking at an alien invasion, we got to understand they don't think like humans. Okay, now think about it. Okay, let's look at the idea of using humans as a way to enhance our own race. Okay. Are humans going to go to, are humans going to go and collect up a bunch of chimpanzees or a bunch of grasshoppers in order to enhance human evolution? It doesn't work very well. And many of these races are that far advanced. Yeah, actually, I was more to the point of something I was going to show you. I know I had something the other day I was going to ask you, and I forgot entirely what that is. But I got to grab coffee, so I'm going to go grab something else while I'm at it. Give me 10 seconds. I will be right back. Well, probably about 30. See, this is why I no longer wait tables. Well, in all fairness, I never really did. But my balance is absolutely pathetic. So, but this is something I was going to show you guys later. It came to mind, but I forget in all fairness there, Shadow. I forget exactly what it was I want to talk to you about to start with. But now, I forget which Joe it was, but I got a message. This particular character, okay, this figure, this is a perfect rendition of a Sarkon. Now, to give you an idea, okay, here you have a standard-sized human, right? Well, not enough room here. Here you have a standard-sized human. Here you have a standard-sized Sarkon. Now, all they have to do is show up, and this is the best model I've ever seen of one, but it gives you an idea of how tall you're talking. Now, picture a whole platoon of these guys showing up in battle armor, and that's the size of a human comparatively. Okay, now I forget which Joe, but one of the Joes in this chat room did suggest a color for one of these. Unfortunately, I didn't see it, or I glanced over it, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to have to buy another one of these because I'm going to be painting one the color that they suggested. Okay, but here's the thing I found out. These guys, as you can see, they are bipedal. But it's this, while I was painting that, I got told this. This little guy here. Okay. You'll notice I painted him gold as well. Okay, that's because these guys, the Sarkon young, are born with wings. Reason being, it gets them out of reach. Okay, gets them to safety so they can get older. As they get older, their wings become less capable of working, and eventually they just simply, literally fall off. Okay, they just simply become useless and drop off. But here's the thing. You'll notice these guys have wings when they're only half the size of a human. Right? That's why And this will be added, is getting added to, I think, the Sarkon. Yeah, I know the Sarkon are in book 1. So this little added piece of information is being brought into light. Okay. Oh, I know one of the things I was going to be asking you about there, Shadow, is if you've got any ideas, because I do desire to get into doing the landscapes and the backdrops. Okay. And I'm wondering if you, because I am not, my dexterity doesn't work as well as I would like, but I'm looking at getting some of these things done properly. Have you got any suggestions on what to use to make it a little bit easier and yet make it workable? That was terrible there, Joe. Kind of figured you might. I mean, and I do appreciate that there, Shadow. Yeah, definitely do. I mean, I'm back. Like I said, it's weird, Up until I had my stroke, I could write with my left hand. It would come out mirror image, but it worked fine. I've since started working with it again. Okay, but it's been a long time getting it back. But I turn around, have a cold. The moment the cold kicks loose, my brain kicks into gear, and all of a sudden I'm able to game master. So what I've ended up doing is I started up the game. I've started up a game, a D&D game, and the characters don't even know what they're up against at this point. But the important factor from my standpoint is, from I started in 76. So from about 1982 until 2018, I was game mastering regularly. When I had the stroke, I couldn't track it. And yet I could write without a problem. But when we look at alien invasion, and this is one of the reasons I looked into it, is the way I bring the Yldrbac and the world of the Yldrbac Chronicles to an end, the way I bring the civilization to an end, is literally a combination of alien invasion, ancient race resurfacing, and natural disaster, all lumped in at the same time. I mean, what the heck? Why do one with it when you can do all of it? Okay, and the important factor from my standpoint, especially when I start off with the idea of I'm writing this as a gamer for gamers. I have a gaming crew in the game, or in the Yldrbac Chronicles, that literally is trying to survive and carrying on the whole tradition of gaming in the middle of a flaming firefight. Now, these are not combat people. They're not combat people when everything when everything blows up. They're sitting there playing their game in the corner of the bar. They're playing their game, no problem at all. All of a sudden, a firefight breaks out. What do? They don't go running. These are people that are playing, they're fighters, they're swordsmen, they're magic users. And what do the gamers do? They grab their gaming dice, they grab their gear, they bag it, and they run. They don't try and fight the people. Okay, not for the most part. But as you well know, okay, in the middle of a war, in the middle of an invasion, some of the quietest people are going to be the ones to step into the middle of the fight. They are going to be the ones to stand up. But I will tell you, in the case of an alien invasion, it is not going to work that well. I don't care whether you stand up. If the guy in front of you can eat you with one bite, my guess is this isn't going to work well. Where did that guy go again? No, not that one. Yeah, see, this one in particular, I got to work on him one day, and I ended up getting him tied off. Now, I am not a professional painter, but it gave me enough to work with. So I'm quite happy with this. This one just needs his mouth done. He just needs his mouth done and the ground painted. So I'll be able to do that next time I sit down with him. But I start looking at the whole concept of alien invasion and the way people propagate this. Oh, we're being invaded. We have to pull together. No, people, pull together now. Don't wait for the world to collapse. To me, this is just a silly idea, waiting until the world collapses. This is just an episode. It's just an issue of, are we going to let the world continue to slide and continue pointing the fingers at everybody else? Or are you going to look in the mirror and go, this is what my life looks like, and I'm no longer content with it? Looking for this. So, I've got all these figures that I'm now starting to get racked off. But now and the other thing I'm going to show you here, that will break. When we are talking about changing the way your life is going, okay, I'm referring to decide what you're not content with. What you are content with, leave it alone. Keep doing it the way it is. Okay, and how about if we don't bother with this idea? I mean, I agree. Being prepared is really necessary. Okay, it really is. Being prepared for problems. Be prepared for a power failure. I think in my house right now, I've still got about a month's worth of food, maybe 2 months, in my house now. Okay, and I am starting to stockpile that. Okay, but I'm not going around picking out, buying weapons and buying guns and buying medical supplies and buying, oh my gosh, you remember the toilet paper shortage of 2020. I mean, I swear, that's going to be one of these things that I'm going to remember when I'm in my 80s going, I remember we had a major pandemic come through. People weren't worried about the medicine. They weren't worried about the food. They were yanking toilet paper off the shelves in record amounts. I mean, this is just a bizarre thing, but what the heck? But preparing for problems in the future makes sense. Okay, preparing for a toilet paper shortage might be a little overstated. But preparing for an alien invasion, it's simply either you're going to survive it or you're already dead. I've already told people, somebody's going to bomb the heck out of Kelowna. Somebody give them my address. Make sure they drop a bomb on it. Yes, I feel for my neighbors. I just don't feel like being one of the people left to pick it up. Elaine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I just came to the conclusion I don't really desire to live through another disaster. I mean, I remember the Egyptian Exodus. Okay, the Exodus from Egypt. I remember the gathering at the bottom of Mount Sinai. I remember the fall of Pompeii, the wash away of Manoah. I remember the gladiatorial revolt in Rome. There's a lot of, and I remember, I mean, the Black Plague, Black Death. For me, that was a riot. Okay, for me, the Black Death. I mean, I was really distraught over losing my wife and my 2 kids. But man, was I making money when the Black Death hit. Okay, when the witch hunts happened, I tried the idea of being witch to start with. Got burnt at the stake. That was no fun. So I came back and joined the government, and then set about doing it the right way. Now, as I told somebody just today, okay, do plan for the future. I've got goals I've got in mind. And I strongly recommend get your goals on paper. Break the goals down into 15-minute to half-hour jobs. Okay, this idea of watching the news where it says we've got a major oil shortage, we're going to run out of oil. Okay, I know recently, and I am no researcher, but I caught wind recently of an oil field under Lake Superior, okay, that is reachable from both the United States and Canada. But that field seems to contain more oil than the Arabian oil fields. Okay, from my understanding, which means yes, there are oil issues. Okay, sure there are. You got to do the work to drag it out. But do we have a shortage of oil? In my opinion, and I am no researcher, as it were. Where are we here? Nathan's just asking, did you ever know anybody from Sons of Man, a group loosely connected with the Vatican that went across Europe that would hunt monsters? From this lifetime, no. Okay, but do I remember them way back? Yeah. And what they call monsters, many of what they call monsters are what we call wild animals. Understand, a rampaging elephant in India was to the Indians of the time, to the East Indians of the time, that was a monster. Okay. And did they do their job? Certainly. And of course, they just let the Vatican carry on going, nope, monsters don't exist. These guys worked behind the scenes. They'd go and check with the locals to find out what the rumors were or what the things were that the people, and the Sons of Man were realistically more like boots on the ground emergency workers. Yeah, remember I mentioned the Xenon. Okay. By the way, golems of iron and flesh, we call them cyborgs. Okay. Back then, the off-worlders were here. That was before the consortium arrived and started throwing the off-worlders off planet. But yes, when you're looking at a golem of iron and flesh, you're talking about a cyborg. Okay, and yeah, they have existed for literally centuries. Ultimately, well, there were some going on with humans. Some races, some species, races, I don't know. Some groups of humans did evolve technological capacity that was phenomenal. It depends on your idea of a biblical monster. The Leviathan, which is a biblical monster, is a real thing. Okay, the Kraken is a real critter. Okay, many of these, like I can't speak to all of it by any functional stretch, but when you're looking at technology and what have you, even back in the time of the when you go back to the time of the Vatican really coming to power, this was because they literally would deny everything and then utilize the information they got. And then, of course, here's the real kicker to it. Okay, you're a peasant. You put us on the trail of this iron and flesh golem. Okay, now we're going to take that to heart. We're going to go and we're going to, first of all, call you a heretic and have you killed. Then we're going to go and collect up this so-called golem and dissect the thing to understand how it was put together. Humans are not as backwoods as some people think. Little dense, absolutely. But humans have been taught to point the finger at everybody else and say it's all out of our reach. You guys got to remember, if you can think about it, take a look at what Nathan's up to. Okay, Nathan is building something right out of the science fiction world. What are we here? There's a guy in Florida that has a hunting kit for werewolves, vampires, with silver bullets. Okay, well, here's the funny thing. Now, okay, let's see what we deal with here. Try and do this one step at a time. When we start looking at werewolves, at vampires, okay, well, we'll start with werewolves. Yes, you shoot a werewolf with a silver bullet, it's going to hurt. You shoot him with enough silver bullets, it's going to kill him. The thing you got to realize with werewolves is their claim to fame is not their immunity to lead. It's their healing rate. Okay, and you pump enough silver into somebody, and your healing rate isn't going to help a lot. Where it comes to vampires are not okay. Sangin, the Sanguinan are not affected by the cross unless they happen to be a believer in the cross before becoming a vampire. Okay, if they were that, then holding the cross up in front of them was absolutely necessary. Now, here's the thing. The idea of, oh, vampire can't come into my house without being invited. No, they just don't like the conflict, so they ask. You say no, they'll wait till you go to bed, then come in. What do we got here? Now, he also has spells, tools, potions, and how-to book. You got to give the guy credit for his collection. Would I care to put that kind of technology up against a true werewolf? Not a prayer. Okay, because I'll tell you, you shoot them and all you're doing is taking them off. Okay, it's kind of like shooting a grizzly bear. Take a 9mm and shoot a grizzly bear, or shoot a rhino, and see how happy they are. Okay. Now we go down a little further. Well, Van Helsing, I mean, I've watched the series Van Helsing. It's great. But we got to remember we are talking a science fantasy movie. Great for entertainment. Yeah, Elaine's gone. Humans have forgotten more of what they can do than they know what they can do. Very true. Okay, it's like I've told people for years. I've forgotten more about witchcraft than many people even know. Oh, that's just it, Nathan. I'm not talking about it not being real. I'm talking about the issue of whether I would be going hunting werewolves. Personally, nope, don't think so. Yeah, and that's the neat part about it. This is one of the reasons I want to talk to somebody. Nathan, you're talking about this time travel clock that makes it all look really weird. Less like time travel, more like time bypassing. And this is exactly why I said you can move forward in time. And by the way, that's the really annoying part. If you can move forward in time, do you realize with forward time travel, an alien invasion, you can literally move, you can move 10 billion off-worlders onto Earth like that, just by simply moving them forward at staggering points to all arrive at the same point. Absolutely agree with you there, Elaine. If it's hunting you, hey, all bets are off. Do what you have to. Okay. But if it's not hunting you, why hunt it? Aside from, I will tell you, I was talking to a lady one day and it was priceless. She literally come to me in the grocery store and she goes, hunting should be banned. Nobody should be permitted to hunt anymore. Everybody should have to go to the grocery store and buy their meat where no animals are killed. I mean, there is a certain amount of logic to that, but I'm a firm believer that if I can get somebody else to do my hunting for me, I will. Like, for instance, I bought a quarter caribou just a couple of weeks ago. Okay, instead of buying hamburger, I bought a quarter caribou. Now, to me, this was a great idea. A little more expensive, didn't really care. But you got to remember, when you're dealing with technology, when you're dealing with off-worlders, taking over the planet would be child's play. But you are right. If they want the humans to stick around and take care of the place, which is a possibility. Okay. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I only covered one of the very basic ideas of alien invasion. There are so many possibilities or combinations of possibilities. But you got to stop thinking like a human in order to get ahead. Yeah. Joe goes, I've seen 2 actual witches in the cemetery daytime from a distance, but witch hunting, count me out. Yeah, I will warn you, the one problem with witchcraft, and I personally know a witch that used to be a practicing spellcaster. She mispronounced one syllable of one word in a spell she was casting, and she incinerated her entire apartment without causing damage, even smoke damage, to the neighboring apartments. Okay, fortunately, her and her daughter got out alive. Actually, they got out unscathed, aside from the fact they lost everything. And where are we? We are sitting there. I was just double checking the time. Oh, again, guys, just a quick reminder. If you like the stream, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of it. I've reached a point now where I'm starting to move forward with a lot of things, in spite of the fact that I frankly don't have money to do it just yet. But I'm doing it anyway. Bad news, Nathan. Number one, Nathan, I agree with you. The witch hunting was absolutely commissioned by the church. Lord knows I used to work for them. Okay. But even then, even when it was commissioned by the church, in all fairness, it was still murder in my eyes. Elaine's going, 5 months ago, I was riding in the back of let's just stop that. Riding in the back of one of our old pastures. I usually walk the horses down by walking them back to the barn. Came across tracks not 100 yards from my house. It was a very large wolf. Yeah, and that's got to make you a little edgy. Now, here's one little question for you, Elaine. When you came across that in that set of tracks, okay, when you came across that in that set of tracks, was it just 2 tracks, or was it 4? Or were there 2 feet or 4 feet? Okay, because I will tell you, if you're dealing with a werewolf, their weight will be on the front. Okay, their weight doesn't sit flat like a human's. They walk on the front. What do we got here? All of it was based on fear. Whoa, what do we got? Oh, there were 2. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I kind of figured you had measured them. Well, at 4 feet across and a stride of 4 feet across, you're looking at a biped that is close to 8 feet tall. Nice. Yeah, if it's bipedal, you're looking at somebody that's close to 8 feet tall, maybe 9. Okay. Black Dragon goes, I know, witch. She was scary as heck, so I divorced her. I do appreciate the confirmation. Now, I will tell you this. If he was passing through and you didn't find any dead animals of yours, you're looking at a normal werewolf. And what I mean by that, and the reason I say normal, is because they live by picking their prey where it's not going to draw attention. Kind of like you never you never steal in your own backyard. Always go to the neighbor's yard because it's much better. By the way, never bury bodies in your own backyard either. That was bad. But again, you're looking at, see, if you play the game Skyrim, okay, there is a section there where you can become a werewolf, and it shows you growing to 8.5 to 9 feet tall. Okay. And the thing is, you take a wild individual that size, you're in serious trouble. You know, I mean, the neat part about it, like, have I regretted in some ways not keeping tabs more on what I've seen in the way of artifacts and what have you? Absolutely. But I'm also not about to go changing that. I keep enough junk. Okay. Ouch. And again, this is just stuff, here I am trying to get things organized. So it really boils down to an issue of making sure that I get the stuff out of the way that I don't require. Look, that's bad. That won't be staying there because I don't like it there. That makes total sense there, Elaine. Whoa. Well, yeah, your deer population would be. If you've got an animal that size, you got to remember, they're going to take out, quite literally, they'll take out a deer. You'll end up losing one deer every week without a problem. They don't eat every day like people do. Okay, but then wolves don't eat every day like people do. Okay, you're dealing with people that are a little different. Yeah. Well, that may be a preference. The issue there, Elaine, may be just simply a dietary preference. Okay. But that also, if you're dealing with dietary preference, you're talking about a group of people that have intelligence. Okay. Because I'll tell you, wild animals will kill what they require, they won't bother worrying about it. But if you're dealing with somebody that's got intelligence, they're going to be careful how much they hunt. They won't hunt themselves out of existence. Mankind wipes out entire areas and then moves on, which is why some people I've talked to have likened humans to a virus more than a civilization, because they move into an area, drain the place clean, and then move on to another area. What do we got? Well, you put a wolf in the area that size, I can see why the coyotes might have decided this is a bad place. Yeah, I'm just looking at this, Joe, and Joe's written they both wore long black dresses, black dresses, thin down to their feet, and black pointy boots. Here's the funny thing. Okay, That, I will tell you right now, those are not true spellcasters. I have no doubt they're playing the part of the witch. Okay, the black absolutely makes sense. Because the reason you go with black is, first of all, it's really hard to see at night. And if you're trying to do this sort of thing, you wear the black. But the pointy boots are counterproductive to functionality. You know, coyotes don't like the competition with wolves because wolves won't just chase them off their meal, but they'll kill the coyotes as a meal. And I'm just thinking here, which is dangerous. Oh, let me double check something because I just don't want to put my foot in my mouth. Let me see. $33. I had to change the name around, but oh, that's because I didn't have it listed there. Trying to figure out why the heck I didn't see it. Or I didn't remember putting it in. It's because I didn't. I'll tell you right off the bat what you've got in your backyard. Whoop, hold that thought before I hurt myself. What you're looking at in your backyard, Elaine. Okay. That's the critter, that set of footprints you're talking about. That is an Alarian. I would lay odds on it. Okay. Now are they contagious? No, but I will tell you this: you put a male and female Alarian in the same room for too long, you may end up with an extra Alarian. Actually, in all fairness, you'd end up with an extra 3 or 4 Alarian. Almost without day. You would know them as Lycan, aka werewolves. Thing is, they're not shapeshifters. They're that size all the time. Okay. They literally come from Sirius. Okay. They are off-worlders, but are they a threat to you? Obviously not. If they were, they'd have walked through your house already. Okay. But I am enhancing. That's one of the races. Well, that's in Races of the World, book 1. It's one of the expansions I've been dealing with. I'll tell you, this last year has just been stupid, which is why I'm pushing now. And like I said, I'm targeting the middle of November. We've already gone through 8. No. 8 for, I think about a quarter of the book is done. And I left it till I've given myself till the end of November. So I've got it out in time for Christmas. Yeah, well, you probably don't have any coyotes in the area at all anymore. Yeah, Nathan's going, I read a thing about a werewolf that was tracked through the woods to a cabin. He wasn't there, but he passed away. That is terrible football. That really is. But no, you got to remember, especially with the young Ilarians. Okay, they may, if they are dressed properly and they've been trained how to conceal themselves, aka what you would call disguise, it is possible with the right clothing to make, to actually blend in a little. But they don't technically change shape. What they do is they conceal what they look like. Okay, and you can bet they're not going to live anywhere near, they wouldn't be living in the downtown core for way too many reasons. Not the least of which is the fact they do like to sing at night. Ultimately, football, yes, but but Sirius itself is not only home to the Ilarians. Okay, there are a number of Terrian tropes that live on that planet. Okay, they are not a united planet, but they are a united people. Yeah, I agree with you there, Nathan, as far as the not having necessarily the right words. And of course, if you're looking at a half breed, it may well take on, part human, part Ilarian, part Ilarian appearance. Okay, but you're still looking at somebody that's going to be very strong. Okay, probably hairier than normal, and certainly a high degree of attachment to a carnivorous diet. I suspect, in all fairness, it really has more to do with what the parent was. Elaine just goes, sounds like my ex-husband. Yeah, we're just going to leave where some of that comment can go. And we're just going to leave that alone. But no, the neat part about it is Ilarians are not a stupid race. Well, you don't become an off-world race as in able to travel between planets by being stupid. Yeah, I'm not quite certain how that works. My other half just sent me a message, and I really don't understand how she could enjoy it. But she writes, I just finished a bowl of split pea soup. My own outlook on split pea soup, I end up with a can of split pea. I will literally give it to Max. I'm not even opening the thing. I tried it once a long time ago. Oh, Elaine, they don't have paws. I mean, they do, but they're on their feet. Their hands are very thin. As a matter of fact, since I got it here, I don't have a good model of one, but it'll give you an idea. We pull this guy out. Take a look at the hands there. That's what you're looking at. Okay. So they've got the talons, they've got the fingers. Okay, now this is not an Ilarian. This is quite literally the best rendition I've ever seen for a Sargon. Okay. But they are the Ilarians do have proper hands. I appreciate that there, Nathan. The fact that you guys know where to find things is really beneficial. Oh, absolutely. If you think about it, Elaine, if you're dealing with somebody that is 8.5 to 9 feet tall, you're looking at a size, 22 to 26 foot. Okay. And no, they're not likely to spend a lot of time in boots to start with. You know, so I mean, you got to remember when you're dealing with a person that size, okay, and when you're talking to Larians, they have a huge foot. It's kind of like these guys. I mean, where did the people go? This is why I brought these guys down. Got a bunch of these I still have to design, or have to paint, obviously. See if I got one that doesn't actually have a paddle on it. No, of course not. Wouldn't make sense. Oh, I do so. There he is. I picked this particular character up because he was novel. But take a look at this. Okay, now this is a standard human. And look at the size of his feet. Okay, they're not exactly big. Okay, well, there you go. Now you take a look at that. And then you take a look. You can't see that. Then you take a look at the size of these guys' feet. Okay, and you can see where there's a problem here. But that size of a critter, I mean, you think about it. The biblical man, Goliath, okay, the reason he never rode a horse was because he'd step over a horse, and his feet would be on the ground on both sides. And what do we got here? Let's see. Yeah, Nathan goes, Rascal was a dogman rescued from a CIA program in the 80s. And this is the thing. Humans complain when people get abducted. Okay, and yet humans abduct humans and non-humans all the time. I can understand. I mean, I don't look forward to being abducted. I gave that up for Lent. No, that's not entirely true. I got really ticked off with it, and one day a bunch of people stepped in. Originally, yes, but I do suspect there is a community. Clarify that. Originally, yes. I suspect very strongly the dogman came from off-world. Okay, but with that in mind, I do believe they've got a settlement around here. I think that what is it called? Skinwalker Ranch probably has a community around them. Now, my brother did the calculations years ago and figured in order to have a stable community, you would have to have 200 mated pairs of any species in order to have a stable community that did not end up with inbreeding. Okay, but I suspect very strongly when I talk about originally off-world, I am talking they were off-world before mankind found out about them. And possibly, no. We just take the word interdimensional and go, no. Cryptids are unknowns, yes. But understand something. And it might be a terminology thing. Everything that you run into, when we're talking about off-worlders invading Earth, when we're talking about ancient races, all of them are third dimensional. Now, some of these people can vibrate fast enough to disappear. Okay, you take a look at an airplane motor, a turbine motor. Okay, you look at the blade on it, and sitting there, it looks solid. But you kick that thing up to speed, and you can't see the blade itself. Derek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. There are cryptids that came from off-world. For instance, when you take a look at the chupacabra, okay, chupacabra were a pet. Okay, yeah, they were an off-world pet and got away. A few of them got away. Very much like rats were not originally in in the Americans. One of the neat things that we have to look at here when we're talking dimensional variations, people keep telling me that that Earth is evolving to the fifth dimension. No, it isn't. Okay, humans are not evolving to a higher dimension. He remembered. I got one of the people in the chat room, not right now, right? I also talk to on the phone periodically. So he phones in, all of a sudden goes, nope, not calling. My guess is he remembered I was online. I could not even begin to answer that one. There is no way I can tell how many chupacabras, how many different chupacabra there are. I know there's a number of different ones. They have the same tendency, but you got to remember, the chupacabra is very much like the modern day dog, like Terran dogs. So there are a number of different configurations, but they all behave the same way essentially. Okay. But are they other dimensions? No. Oh, that's fantastic there, Elaine. It really is. From what I gather, it's very hard to get pictures of a lot of these cryptids. Okay. And cryptid simply boils down to odd thing. Okay. Something we don't understand just yet. Yes, that was landline football. Well, technically it was landline. It was just a cell phone. Okay. So do I talk to people? Certainly. But I don't talk to, and there's only 3 calls that will come in on this. Well, technically there's a couple of others. But my other half of my 2 kids, if they phone, I don't care who I'm talking to. I'm taking the call. Most of the rest of them, if I'm busy, I will simply go, can't talk right now, and leave it at that. Including my brothers, by the way. But, I think I mentioned it right at the beginning. I think I mentioned it right at the beginning that with all the shenanigans the government's pulled on me, my little brother I contacted him today. We've been trying to connect, and he has stepped up and said, "Look, if there's a problem, because I wasn't supposed to be unemployed, but anyway, he called me up, and he goes, let me know where you're standing." He said, "I will be able to help out. It's just a question of knowing what's up." So much as we have our differences, like family, in my opinion, should. I told him this is the situation I'm now facing. And he goes, "Let me know the details. I'll step in and we'll deal with it." But when I get in, I've got a couple of things to do tonight. But of course, being a professional procrastinator has been phenomenal. I've actually, you never get anything done when you procrastinate, by the way. But I have started looking into the various different concepts. One of the reasons for my looking into the whole thing about invasion is because, number one, it's an ongoing theme right now and seems to be getting worse. As in, now we got the government spokespeople coming in and and mainstream media going, "Hey, we've got this invasion happening. Everybody, fear. Let's live in fear and let's all hunker down and hide from everybody." Okay, because that's a great idea. Oh, and since you're not afraid enough, let's try a disease and see how that works. I'm telling you, living in a world of fear doesn't work that well. Okay, you miss out on a lot of enjoyment. I don't leave the house much. I miss out on a lot of enjoyment myself. But I do that because I don't want to leave the house. Not because I'm afraid of people. I just don't tolerate them well. So, I'm looking at the way this world is right now and going, look, we start working together, and the people in this room are phenomenal at it. And this is just a microcosm of what we can do out there. By spreading the word, by letting people know that working together, we can make this a better world. Okay? By all of us pitching in, or the massive majority anyway, pitching in, even if it's only a couple more than the middle point. As long as more people are pitching in than are working against it, we are going to make this world better. And I don't mean making it better by genetic engineering. Okay, nature did a really good job in putting things together. Raven, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day's been going well. Now, the reality is, and just to let you know, because we are hitting the 2-hour mark, and that's a pretty good time for me to look at it. Gotta move over here, though. Paperwork designed to lay out whatchamacallit, designed to lay out the newsletter, but tomorrow we're going to be dealing with gaming, so tomorrow I am going to be talking about what I've done with the new campaign I've just started. Okay, because, well, frankly, my brain went into drive. And what do we go? Oh, and then we are going to look at, on Thursday, or on Wednesday rather, I'm going to be looking at the progress that we're making as far as what I've been talking to you about with regards to getting the publishing company up and running properly. It's time to quit putting things on hold. I've got to find out 2 things, okay, before I can go into it full throttle, because I'm not waiting for the government anymore. But the only 2 things I got to do is, 1, I got to get back in touch with the people that I get my ISBNs from to find out how to ensure that other people's ISBN can be listed for them. Now, that may just have to go through my name anyway, through my company. Joe has just asked, how long have you been on SOR with Dave? I have been on SOR with Dave for just over 8 years. It strikes me the March of this year is when we hit the 8-year mark. And the beginning years, Derek's going 7 years plus. It strikes me as March was when I got on to SOR to start with. We're talking 8 years ago, so we'd be looking back at 2015. Nope, had to be before that. We might be looking at 9 years. The reason I say that is I was still with not my ex-wife, but an ex-girlfriend when I got on to SOR. Okay. I think I was either still on with her. Well, that makes it past life. I would lay odds because I know Dave, and let's face it. Oh, in all fairness there, Derek, I don't know. I really don't know. And her daughter moved in with me. And, she picked her daughter up, took her up to their grandparents' place, said they'd be back in the morning or early afternoon. I heard a week later that they weren't coming back. Why? Don't know. So we'll leave it at that. Oh, I had one that I broke up with, point blank. After that one, dated her for a little while, and she complained I was calling her names. I looked at her and I said, "What names am I calling you?" She goes, "Well, you're calling me love and sweetheart." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm done with this childishness." She goes, "Well, I didn't want to start a fight. I didn't want to, I didn't want to argue with you." I says, "Okay." That was the last thing I said to her. Okay. Not the same one, different girlfriend. But no, I'm really not worried about the past ones. But I mean, I know I've been with Dave now. Our first number of sessions, from what I gathered, Dave got a lot of flack about the fact I was on. Okay. And here I am still 8 years plus later. Might be 9, but I honestly don't know. But on the other side of that, I'm not planning on leaving. As long as Dave is willing to put up with me, I'll still be here. With this in mind, where are we here? We are hitting the 2-hour mark. That's for clear certainty. Move that out of the way. So I am going to bring this to a close. Okay, but I really want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me, guys. I really do appreciate it. The support has been phenomenal. But I will be back. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.